Greetings and welcome to a slightly crazy Factorio tutorial. I'm KatherineOfSky. Firstly, I want to thank all of my wonderful patrons and supporters and everyone who watches my videos, comments, likes, subscribes, etc. You are awesome. So we're looking here at an array that I built in one of my series, and at first it started out as something of a joke, but then it was like, hey, this is actually efficient. So what I want to do is first I'm going to talk about the math behind this, and second of all, we're going to build the thing, and I'm going to give you all my tips for getting things aligned properly because that is so important. All right, so let's talk about the math here. This array allows you to have a 3,000 item per second throughput. Yes, no joking here. It is really crazy high. That is even more than a blue belt. Blue belt is only 45 items a second. So how do we get to this number? Let's look at the math here. And you can blame Wally for all of this. He is the one at fault for every calculation that we're going to look at. Huge thank you to Wally1169 of the YouTubes for helping me with the math on this. So, belts. We're using yellow belts, which is a necessity because of the speed of inserters and stuff like that. A belt moves at 15 items per second, but regular belts have 8 items per piece. So when we divide that, we have 1.875 belts full per second. Now that represents the single car on one tile of a belt. Now cars, when we look at those, we see that they have 8 this way and 10 this way slots. So 80 slots multiplied by 200 science packs per slot. That gives a total payload of 16,000 items. Now we're transporting the car at 1 every 10 tiles. And the way I came up with that is to just look at the center part of a car. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And there's another center part of the car. So 1 every 10 tiles is going to give us 1,600 items per tile on average. So if we multiply 1,600 items per tile times 1.875 speed, we get 3,000 items per second. Yes, and that does have a full car of items, but you know, that is the potential throughput of this particular system, and you can actually make it that way if you load it enough and if you have enough science to get there. So let's go about how to figure out and build this thing, and we're going to start from scratch. Now we're here in what might look like a typical lab setup, but it has some really nice features that I want to tell you about. All right, first of all, we want to have our labs 2 spaces from the belt, and that is on both sides of the belt. This gap in between is meaningless. You can have 0 gap in between. You can have 3 tiles in between so that you could put beacons, whatever is up to you. Now, a note on beacons, I don't find the beacons very useful. These ones down here are for the blue circuits. But I don't really speed up my labs. I find that I just rather add more labs onto the end. But you can do whatever works for you. So when we place inserters, and these inserters are going to grab the science packs into the buildings, there are going to be 2 types. We're going to use red inserters, the long-handed ones. The red ones are going to go right next to the belt. And it looks like, oh, it's picking up from away from the belt? Yes, it is. Because we're picking up from a car, not from the belt. And that's quite important. And we're going to have fast inserters. Now, these fast inserters are going to go right butted up against the lab. And you can see that the inserter gripping claws are going to grip whatever's in the center there. And that is going to be our car. So let's go ahead and copy these inserters. And we're going to get rid of the power pole and the belts, and we're just going to paste these down very simply here. Our little bots can help us with this process. And then we can go ahead and copy the entire set there, and I'm pressing shift so that we can have this interface. And on the bottom side, we want exactly the opposite because they're going to be aligned in, pressed against a different area. So again, we want the reds very close to the belt, and then the blues are close to the labs. Now for every good science array, we want to have it circling around. So we're going to go ahead and build this belt approximately here. What's important with this, you do not want it right next to the science lab like this, because the car is going to hit the lab and it's going to stop. It's just going to completely stop. Cars will stop if they hit anything solid, so they can hit inserters, they can hit power poles, buildings, anything like that. And here, we want it to stop. This is our alignment for you can't go any further this way. What I did find is that whenever they rounded a corner, it was kind of unpredictable. They would get all kinds of jiggly on the belts. So we want to have them, okay, you can go this alignment and that's it. And then the same with the bottom alignment. And this is the alignment that's going to get them in line for these inserters here to take from them and kind of push them up a tiny bit on that belt. All right, now let's go and actually do something about the sciences. Now we can see the sciences coming in from the rest of the base on these belts here. We have 2 per belt, and then we're going to have space science coming in from robot land. So I think if we build a belt right here approximately, we should have enough room for stuff. And let's see, we can get this connected over here, and that should be fine for now. Let's see, we can get this one, and then we're going to need a little bit of alignment room, but I think I'll put the chests down first. So we want each of the sciences to be collected in a chest before it moves forward. But we also need the inserters to place the items within the car itself. These guys need, word is need, not optional. They need to be 1 tile from the belt. The reason is if an inserter can put an item on the belt, then the science is just going to go on the belt and it's not going to go within the car. So we need to have them placing not on the belt, but on the space before the belt, because the car kind of has the sticky outy bits, hangle dangle over the edge there, and the inserters can reach inside and place things right there. So let's get ourselves a nice little belt here. This belt, I'm using these for the longer undergrounds, but they can be any speed you want, whatever you feel like. Notice I'm turning in the corner here. And that's so it doesn't interact with the next set of sciences. All right, so this is going to go that way. This will go this way. Actually, I think I want our first belt can go like this. And then we'll connect it up very easily here, like that. But we want to set the filter first. We want to have 1 color per side, or per set of chests, I should say. So we want blues to be on one side and then gray to be on the other side. So we'll set up this filter. It doesn't matter if you choose blue or gray. This side doesn't matter at all. We just want to get it where it needs to go. Okay, I think I would like to put a power pole either here, or we can use a substation. Because they serve a greater area, but make sure the substation is at least 1 tile from that belt, because you don't want the car intersecting with that belt at all. Okay, and then we can copy this array again. We'll put 1 here and here for the other 2 styles of science. Let's see, we want let's put this inserter here. That would be fine, and there. Good. Okay, and the reds are going to come down this way and connect there, and these guys are going to connect over here. Let's do the filters before they get all mixed up here. This one is red-green, so we'll just choose green, sure. This one shall be purple. Excellent. There we go. Okay, and these guys are not getting powered, so we need another of these here. Again, making sure not to interfere with this belt. And one tip for this is notice that these inserters, the first one, because it's a stack insert, is grabbing every single science pack. What I would do is probably limit this to like 4 stacks or something. At least the first one, so that that second one can get product into the chest. It's important that the second one gets product so that the cars can load faster. Later on, if you have enough science packs, you can always remove those limitations, but that's good to keep there for now. Okay, so the next part is we need space science. I almost forgot, my goodness. Let's put that down here, just kind of the same pattern of gaps between. And we're going to put a requester chest for each of those. And we're going to get space science, 2000. Sure, why not? And our bots should go and get all of that fun stuff for us. We kind of want to get these cars in alignment. So we're going to have a tiny little squiggle here. We'll go down like this. About 2 spaces down, I think. That should be enough. Yeah, that looks good. All right. And as before, let us put the little pipe blocks here so it gets into an alignment that is proper for this car. Again, every time we change direction, put one at the head of the direction change there. All right, we are almost ready to go with this. So we have our car, but we need places for it to stop. Because if we put the car on the track without stopping it, there's not going to be enough time to really load it very well. So what I've decided to do with my setup is place a little, I don't know, a little oval with a small timer that tells our stopping places, which we haven't put in yet, tells them where to go. Let's go ahead and put in those stopping places. So we're going to put in one here. And notice this is at the top square of each of the chest sections. That's what I found to be the best alignment for these. So just connect them all with red wire. And then we'll connect one to a square here. It doesn't matter where it is. I would suggest, though, putting it only on a straight tile, not the corner. And that's very important because the length of time an item on this goes around a corner is much shorter compared to the straight section. And then we'll have one more tile, say, over here, so that it kind of stops stuff before it gets into here. And that should be pretty good for getting all of our cars in order. Okay, we need to configure these little squares. That's very important. Now on our timer, that's going to be this one. We're going to read belt contents, and this is the only one of these that's going to have this particular qualification. We're going to do read belt contents and then hold. Really important that it's holding, not pulsing. And then we place an item down on this belt. It can be anything you want. I don't know. We could do cliff explosives. Why not? Press Z to drop one item. And then it's going to read this every time it goes through there, and then affect these guys once we give them a condition. These are going to be enable disable because it's basically looking at this, and if it senses something, we want it to enable this belt. So the condition is going to be here, the anything condition, and if it's greater than 0, it will do stuff. So when that gets scanned, you see that little green light went off and it actually started moving the belt. Let's watch it again. There it goes. Nice. So we're going to copy this condition to all of these. That's shift right click to copy and then shift left click to paste. So whenever that little guy goes by, every one of these should turn on. Let's just make sure. There they go. Perfect. So in this system, the cars are going to wait here until they're told to move by our little timer. If you want them to wait longer, just extend the belt into a longer loop because they're only going to move once this little guy gets scanned there. Okay, so let's set up some cars, shall we? I'm going to go ahead and just remove a piece of belt, and we're going to place some of these cars. And I'm sure that you've noticed this blinking, which can be a tiny bit annoying, but we're going to fix that right up. Okay, let's go ahead and put some cars on the track. Now, the number of cars I have, this is a tank, by the way. We have 19 cars is how many I had on my track. If your track is longer, build more cars. It's not a problem. The only problem is storage. You see, it takes up a significant room of inventory space. So you can either craft them as you go, but I don't recommend crafting them before you do all of this. So you can just like put them on the track. I do like to have all of my cars in the same direction. To me, it feels better. And it's easier to copy and paste and such. So I'm just going to put some down here on these tracks. And first of all, we need to put some fuel in the tank so it's not blinking. You can put in wood, coal, solid fuel, rocket fuel, or nuclear fuel. I choose to just put a piece of coal, right click for one item, or you can just press Z while you're holding the coal. There we go, Z or Z as your proclivities dictate, and it will just put one piece in. These don't use fuel. It's just to prevent the blinking from going on. All right, let's go with the first one. And you notice the trunk of the car is beautifully absent of anything. We need to filter it or else there's all kinds of stuff going to get in there. Well, all kinds of quantities of science, because all we're feeding it with is science. But we want each car to be able to have a variety of sciences so that the labs can get them as they're going around. Now the rest we want to fill with some random item. It could be anything, low density structures or sulfuric acid barrels. Let's just go with these. And you can shift right click to copy, shift left click to paste those in. Now that that's all done, we are going to move our copy paste talents to the rest of the cars. Again, shift right click to copy. You're copying the entire inside of this car or the filters in there, and you're pasting it to the other cars. All right, if we look at this one, it has exactly the same filters. This is perfect. So you can see how they're all kind of like up and down on this belt here. Once we get this going, which we do just by putting that last piece of belt in there, they are going to get aligned. And you can see all of these that have hit this this pipe are in alignment. They are perfectly in a line. And we're going to watch them go around, and so you can see how these guys are feeding these. Now when these go by, you'll notice there is science on the ground here. I can mouse over it a tiny bit. There it is, items on the ground. That's normal. Just leave it there. But the rest of the items will go into the car. And as you see, the labs are picking up from the vehicles. You see the center of this is kind of low. That's because we put the pipe here and it kind of shoves it down a tiny bit. But it happens to be in the perfect range where both of these inserters can take from it. So you don't have to have just inserters on one side. You can have labs on both sides of this belt. And it's going to go around and also hit that same alignment as it goes down here. Just remember to add the rest of the cars that you need on your belt, and they will automatically space themselves out very regularly as you see. I hope this design has given you some ideas for other structures. Let me know what you come up with. I love to see pictures of awesome and innovative designs. If you've enjoyed this video, please do leave a like and subscribe to be informed of new videos. It is very, very much appreciated and really helps me out. If you want to chat about the game and share ideas, do come to our Discord. We have such a friendly community. You can find the links in the description below. Thank you so very much for joining me. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you next time.